relationship, can you just write my name and Mike's?
That would be
I already have
gorgeous.
it. What was your excuse last?
We're on.
I just didn't feel like playing. Yeah.
Oh, okay, we're on. I will officially call this meeting of the Seneca County Board of Commissioners for Tuesday, May 19th to order. Please join us for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Solar, I almost called you Commissioner Kirchner. Commissioner Solar will lead us in prayer.
You can call me anything, but never call me that. As we bow our heads, dear Lord, please give us the strength and the wisdom as we make important decisions for the county and for the residents of Seneca County. Since we are such an agricultural community and this is the planting season, give us plenty of rains and plenty of dry weather so that the farmers can take care of their fields properly. In your name, thank you.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy?
Here.
Commissioner Zoller?
Here.
Commissioner Kirchner?
Okay, we'll have the signing of the journal, and then I'll accept a motion to approve the DVD recording from the previous board session, which was Tuesday, May 12th, and the index of that meeting.
I make a motion that we approve the index as outlined.
And I will second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved, thank you. All right, adjustments to the agenda, anything we need to get added? I have one thing under new business, I'm gonna add just a brief update on the indigent council legislation that we've gotten from CCAO. That's only have that, anything to add?
No, old businesses.
Any-
It's already on the
It's on
agenda
there,
there,
okay.
yeah.
You have anything, Stacy? Nicole? Okay. That's it. We have a few scheduled things, but they are not here at this moment, and that is ODOT coming in to talk to us. So we will put them in when they get here. And we'll begin with the old business, museum improvements is the first thing listed here. You were looking into some things with that.
Okay, I have contacted a local contractor, and last week we went over to the museum with Mark Steinmetz and a contractor, and we certainly looked at it was the east side of the building, the porch where it's deteriorating and the foundation and so forth. And the contractor, first thing he looked at it, he said, well, Fred, where do you want to start? How much you want to spend? I mean, this thing, it could be monumental. Like, we could go, there's just a lot of things that need to be done over it. I know that there's going to be some replacements of the windows and so forth, but he said, where do you start? You know, a big project, you almost have to say, this is how much we're going to spend and how much you think we can get done with this. And is it going to solve all the issues? No, but will it certainly make some major improvements? So I kind of threw out a figure and I said, well, Lenny, if we spent $100,000, what would that get us? And he said, well, I said, I'll tell you, that would get a lot of improvements. That would get the foundation. It's one of those things that it's very, very difficult for a contractor to give you a bid on something like that because there's so many unknowns and variables in it. You start tearing down some old things and you know, how bad is it going to be? I mean, that's difficult. So he said you could certainly get a lot done. You could certainly fix the porch and the foundation and fix up that whole east side. There's some drainage issues and so forth. And so then I'm thinking, okay, let's say if we did enter into a contract, now how are we going to pay for it? So I have approached the Historic Foundation and asked if they would be receptive to make a major contribution because that's part of their mission. And I'm thinking in the neighborhood of maybe $50,000. And they seem to be very, very receptive of it. They've had a few questions and certainly with some things we'd have to iron out, but they would be willing. They have to go back to their board, but they are going to make a proposal that they would make a sizable donation. Now, how they would do, they would bring that to the county, and then we would have to contract with with Klaus Construction to make these improvements. And on top of that, they've also mentioned, or someone mentioned, that Tiffin Charitable Foundation would be interested in possibly making a contribution towards this project. So I have been in contact with them, and they're certainly receptive, but again, they have to take it back to their board. And I'm thinking in the neighborhood of maybe 10,000. These are all very, very preliminary figures. Nobody's agreed to any of this. So then the next step was, well, to cover the difference, CDBG. And so I have contacted regional planning with CDBG, and Roxanne now has a list of various townships and municipalities and so forth for issues with the CDBG. And she said, you know, there's certainly a lot of deserving things out there. Would this be the priority? Of course, that's going to be our decision as to where we're going to establish our priorities. So my recommendation would be, and I hate to use CDBG money because I think there is so many sidewalks and streets and other things that need to be done with CDBG money. I would like to investigate, and that's what I'm trying to get direction from my fellow commissioners here, if that's something, if we were able to, let's say, get 50,000 from the foundation, or we're able to get 10 to 15 from the historic, or from the Tiffin Charitable Foundation, and then would the commissioners, would we see fit to maybe, if we don't do the CDBG, to come up with the additional part? Now we get the issue that you brought up, Stacy, if it's a job over 50,000, how do we handle that? Because quite frankly, the bid would be with Klaus Construction would be a bid not to, it's kind of time and material, but it's not to exceed. So how do we go through that? I mean, do we, because he's not defining exactly what he's going to do. Don't know that until you get into it. So, I mean, I think we're getting some direction from our prosecutor on that and how we would handle that if my fellow commissioners have a desire to go down that path.
Yes, I looked at, I saw the email from Fran saying that the foundation would be interested, or, you know, would certainly look at making a sizable contribution towards those types of improvements. And I looked into the Tiffin Charitable Foundation application process, and that deadline is coming up really soon. But it's a fairly straightforward form to fill out, so it's not gonna be too complicated. So I printed that out in their application guidelines and indicated to Fran that, you know, we would look at that. So I have that, so I think we should apply for that. I don't know if you, like you said, you had a list that you gave Roxanne. I don't know if is there a rough, even if it's a broad range, list of things like drainage, foundation, wall, because I think that's some detail we'll need for that, to show what we're doing.
And I
for that
believe
application.
that Klaus Construction, Lenny Klaus, certainly would give an outline. Before I ask him to go any further, I wanted to see the appetite of the commissioners, because
Yeah.
there would have to be some funds or CDBG money that would have to come up with a difference. This is not going to completely come from private donation.
If the contract, even if we've got, say we got funding coming from 3 different sources or so, and it exceeds 50, it still requires a bid process no matter where the funding's coming from?
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
so we'll have
We'd
to.
probably have to get an engineer to narrow down a scope, because we gotta put it out for bid, and how can I bid something that I don't have a scope on?
Yeah, and we wouldn't have to put it out to bid until we would hear from the Tiffin Charitable Foundation. I mean, we would need to put it to bid, but that's just seeing if they're gonna give us any money.
Sure, yeah.
And then maybe by then we would know as well from Barnes Deinzer Foundation, what they might be interested to do and potential, and then obviously, like I said, we have to, if it exceeds 50, we're gonna have to put it to bid.
So I guess the first question is, would the county be willing to make a sizable contribution towards that? Let's say in the neighborhood of 30,000-40,000.
Yeah.
Okay, if that's a
Might be,
goal,
yes, but-
then I think that the next thing is that we would, and then the next question would be, can we apply for the Tiffin Charitable Foundation contribution without knowing we're gonna go through with it yet. And so that we get an answer of that. Then it would seem to me that the next process would be to get an engineer to come in and define what we want, let it out for bid, or let me back up a minute. The Historic Foundation, they don't have their meeting until, I think it's July. She mentioned she was willing to call a special meeting
Yeah.
if they had to, so.
She did have that very
I mean, we
well.
gotta, am I advocating in any way that the county pick up the whole tab here? No. I'm thinking, I'm kinda hoping in the 30,000 range is kind of the max, and then the vast majority of it comes from private donation. And, you know, if they're receptive to that, then I think, and the commissioners are willing to make a contribution not to exceed, then I think we need to start the bidding process and the engineering and all those things. But again, the first thing I had to come back and see what the appetite was of the fellow commissioners
Yeah.
to go forward with it. So it's one of those things, if we don't fix it, we've got another courthouse on our hands in the coming years.
Yeah.
That porch is gonna fall down, and it's a beautiful building, and structurally it's in pretty good shape, but there is some issues there we gotta take care of.
Yeah, it's a building, we own it, we need to take care of it, and we've got, luckily, resources of other groups with a strong interest as well as ability to help us out possibly if we go through the process of applying and so forth. So I'd say we'll move forward with the Tiffin Charitable Foundation, just if I would see that we need some more types of detail on things. I mean, it would not be any more than estimates that I could get from Lenny's who looked at it. And then, like I said, we get down that process. Once Roxanne, with regional planning, gets through completed applications that come in for CDBG, and I guess if we would see that she doesn't have enough projects and/or something, or she has enough that it allocates for all the money, the Fostoria project and everything else that we need to have in that mix. But we could put this, maybe get it together as an alternate project, because if one of them falls out, you've got to have the alternate ready to go.
Yep,
And
no,
so
I'm,
that could be a good place for it too, but I see what you're saying. If the villages and townships and others have enough projects in, I guess I would, since we have other avenues to take care of this,
yeah,
potentially,
well, certainly,
that would be a good way to use that money.
yeah, I would agree that all that I'm saying is that we would commit that if everything else fell through, we'd be the backup, not to exceed, again, that 30,000.
Yeah,
And if we are, then I think we can really start investigating the other processes. And as you mentioned, you're willing to deal with the Tiffin Charitable Foundation on the application.
yeah,
Who would do the engineering? Would we have Mark Zimmerman do that?
Mark wouldn't do one of our buildings, we'd have to, Palmer's done some of our stuff for us for our buildings, we could use local, I don't want to use Lenny to do that, because then it
Yeah, it's self.
takes him
Conflict of
out
bids,
of,
yeah.
then he can't bid on the project, so he can't do the engineering of the scope of work for us.
That's gonna cost us though, to have an engineer come in. What kind of costs is entailed to get? See, before we start spending any money, we need to make sure that at least two of the major contributors, Foundation and Tiffin Charitable, that they're in. And if they're not in, then I'm not advocating we spend even a dime to do any engineering work. If they're in, so,
I can call and get a couple estimates on, I mean, not that it's a small project by any means,
right,
but,
right.
so if you'll deal with if you're receptive to
Yeah,
that,
Tanya
with
said
Tiffin Charitable.
she would help me with that,
Yeah.
because she's done some of those types of things before. So.
And I'll continue to have conversation, and perhaps we'll ask the foundation if they would have a meeting sooner than, I think it may have been August, July or August, and if they could have a meeting sooner than that, and then that would help us formulate our opinion then. Does that sound like direction that we can
Yeah.
move towards?
Yeah.
okay.
The CSB roof,
Yes. We had Palmer come in and do the improvements for the different buildings. He had JB and a couple other roofing businesses come in, and if you remember right, the CSB was gonna be like a 3-year, 3-stage. Problem is, we're having an issue, we're having leaking in one of on one of the areas above victims assistance.
We're in the second year or the third year of that? Of that?
We've only fixed one section so far.
Okay, only once,
Yep.
we're on, this is the second.
Yep. The problem is right where it seems to be leaking, according to the pictures that JB had taken for us, it's right in between two of the sections that they want to replace. You know,
Best laid plan on what the
Right.
hell there.
I mean, we have the estimates from before that it's, you know, about 100,000 to do, that would be to do the whole roof. We were just breaking up it through 3 years. Palmer said he could put bid specs together for us, and since, I mean, if we do this section, and that's really not the sections that's causing the problem of the leaks, we're gonna have to do the other section. He said he could start working, and we just bite it and do the whole project at once, because then we're gonna be doing 2 sections.
I think we're gonna have to.
Well,
just makes-
if you got water and you got leaking,
Yeah,
you
you
get-
can't deal with
it's
that.
only gonna get worse.
So they
It ain't
would,
gonna make it any,
we could get it, the bid specs put together.
Yep, because he's got most of the information anyway, so putting the specs together, he said he could probably have it done in a week. So get ready to put that out.
so I'm clear on this, to replace the whole roof was 150,000. They did 50 is what they recommended,
Yep,
and we did the first 50. So now if we gotta go through step 2 and 3 now, it's really only 50,000, only.
Only,
And
only.
50 doesn't go in the same sentence, but only 50,000 more that would be non-budgeted, because we budgeted in the 50.
Yeah, right.
correct?
Right.
yep. Each sections were, I got 1, 2, 3, and then we do have a small roof section for 10. So we've got about 90 plus the 10, so about 100,000. So I'll have him
I think we have to.
work on
I
getting
don't
this
think we got
fixed. I
any
mean,
choice. I don't think we got any choice. I mean,
I just don't see working on sections
yeah.
if that's not gonna,
Worst thing can happen is get water
yeah,
in the roof, because it's gonna get worse.
yeah, and it is. All right.
Maybe they're willing to do a little better since we do both sections at the same time.
Yeah, maybe.
But James is ODOT here.
Probably.
Is that them out there? I hear voices. Hello, how are you?
Good morning.
All sorts of dignitaries here. Your sidekick Todd didn't show up?
Todd is not here, and that's the first thing I need to make everybody
Just-
Get the changers for the. Gray one.
And Danny, are you on a time schedule? So we do you right after the time if you want.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll let you introduce yourself
Sure.
and whoever came in with you. There's a bunch that came in, I'm not sure they were all with ODOT.
I believe we all are. Don't mean to ambush everybody. Good morning. My name is Lathis Stefan. I'm the Highway Management Administrator in District 2. I apologize for Todd. He couldn't be here today. But I'll go through the presentation and I'll first introduce everybody who is with us. First of all, Dave Knievel. He is he's been the Transportation Administrator in Seneca County for the past year. We're sort of kind of in transition. Casey Smith is actually taking over that position in Seneca County, and she'll be the face of ODOT in Seneca County. We'll talk more about that, as I'm sure you'll need phone numbers and things like that. Brian French is the area engineer. Brian has been the area engineer in Seneca County for a number of years, and he will be talking about the construction projects that we have in the county. And Kim Reesner is a manager, works out of the district office. She's in charge of a number of programs, and she'll be talking to you about a couple of new things that our district has been working on this year. Many people don't realize that ODOT is a $3 billion business in Northwest, in Ohio, specifically in Northwest Ohio. This year we have about $750 million worth of construction projects, and what you see before you there is we have 13 projects that have been highlighted as the focus of what we're doing in District 2. Now, I do realize that there's nothing showing, for Seneca County, and that's Brian will touch on that. Specifically, though, for the construction projects on 75, it's been all of these projects have been in the works for a number of years, and a lot of these projects since the lease of the turnpike came into fruition, we've been able to put all these projects together. Now, what you're seeing there is about 32 miles worth of interstate widening, which is something that we have not done since the interstate was built back in the 50s and 60s. Most of this pavement has actually reached its useful life, and it's time for replacement. We're not making any apology. We're being criticized in the media over the last few weeks about how much construction has been going on. It seems like orange barrels no matter where you go. But we're not making any apologies, because all these projects are bringing in major dollars to our region in Northwest Ohio. Like I mentioned, about $750 million worth of construction projects. Specifically for this year.
Excuse me, is that completely for District 2?
This
The
is
750, or is that just this project here?
these are just interstate projects. This is not District 2. You're talking about our annual construction budget. This is above and beyond what you're seeing there. It's about $150 million. Like this year, we have about $140 million worth of construction that's ongoing beside what you're seeing on the interstate. So that goes on. That program's still on, in addition to what you're seeing there, which kind of.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Sure.
I hate to interrupt you. I just
That's
want to make
fine.
sure I've got my. So, in District 2, for the 75, it's roughly 750 million that's being spent there.
Correct.
But you're telling me in District 2, the budget for Bowling Green, District 2
Capital,
is.
right.
Pardon?
For cap, between district allocation, what we receive from Columbus to do our routine
Yeah.
culvert replacement, two-lane resurfacing, plus what we receive in capital, that's about 100 to 150 million.
About 150. So total, there's about a $900 million budget in District 2.
Yeah. Now, these 750, that's not just 1 year. That's going to go over the span of about 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sorry
think
to
by,
interrupt you.
oh no, that's perfectly all right. I just want to make everything clear. Above and beyond these, there's already projects in the work that will add about another $200 million if funding becomes available. This is above and beyond the $750 million. These projects will go on to about year 2021, 22. They're not actually shown on here because they're going through the study phase, and we're trying to secure funding for construction.
That extra 200 million, that would basically be the 75 corridor.
That would still be on the 75 corridor. It's, what I'm talking about is 2 projects at this point. One is to replace the 75 bridge over the Maumee River, DeSalle. That's in the work, including the 2 interchanges on both sides. And then there's a section of 75 between the bridge all the way to downtown Nebraska, north of Nebraska, where 14th Street comes in. Right now, the current project that's going through downtown starts just north of the 14th Street on-ramp to go northbound on 75. That's where the current project is. So essentially, everything north of the river will be all the way up to the 280 interchange will be brand new pavement. And the only section that right now does not have any construction tied to it is a section between 20 and Pearisburg, kind of Rossford area, up to where Wales Road comes in, because that's already been addressed and widened. So that's relation. There are two project resurfacing projects on 475. Those will take place at night. We're, I believe, Brian, do you know they've been let, correct? And I think they'll start construction probably after July 4th.
I would assume so.
The resurfacing projects. They're nighttime construction. They're not going to see. We're not going to see any construction barrels or walls during the day. So that's a huge undertaking. We're also investing in facilities, in addition to what you're seeing on the road. We're investing in facilities in District 2. Well, we're in the process of replacing 2 county garages, as well as making renovations, or doing a lot of renovations to a 3rd garage. 2 garages are Fulton and Sandusky. Those will be brand new facilities. Ottawa County, we are upgrading our facility there by adding more truck storage and things like that, new salt shed. And we're utilizing $100 million worth of bonding that was sold earlier this year. Our share of the $100 million is the 2 garages. It's I believe it's like 5 or 6 county garages that are being replaced. Our share of them is 2 county garages plus the upgrade to the facility. And the facility that I wanted to talk to you about, that we want to highlight, is the one that we're doing in Fulton County. It's a kind of first of its kind. We've not done anything like this. We're partnering with the county commissioners in Fulton County to create a complex that will house ODOT, the EMA office, their director, as well as a heritage center. Even State Highway Patrol will actually have an office and operate out of that satellite office out of their Toledo area. They'll operate out of that office for kind of Fulton County and Williams County. The county engineer will have presence there and or use services. We know at this point they'll use a truck wash facility and possibly some salt storage capacity in our salt shed. We've never done anything like this before. It's a unique opportunity. Presented itself about 1.5 years ago, and we purchased land that was owned actually by the county, and we're building on that concept of creating a public works complex that will house ODOT as well as the county. Along with all of these construction projects, it's kind of presented, a problem came up and it presented itself as far as how do we staff all these projects. So over the last couple of years, 3 years actually, we've hired winter seasonal workers to help us with our snow and ice program. And we're using kind of the same concept. We used it a little bit last year. We're using a lot more of it this year. We're hiring seasonal workers to help us with our routine maintenance program in the summer, as well as hiring part-time project inspectors or seasonal project inspectors to help us with the inspection of all these construction projects. We're also hiring summer seasonals. Those are the usually 17, 18-year-old high school kids to help span the gap with our county work force in the summer. As far as increasing resources, we've invested heavily over the last 4 or 5 years with regards to equipment. We've sold a whole bunch of outdated equipment that we have not been able to put on the road because of either its age or it's really not conducive to do what we do not nowadays as far as maintenance work. So we've invested almost $5 million over the last, this is in addition to dump trucks. I'm not talking about dump trucks at all, or snow plows. This is the front end loaders and skid steers and backhoes and aero boards and all of those other pieces of equipment that we use on a daily basis that we have not been able to see any funding to come through our way, but we've been able to manage to get Columbus to help us out, and we've invested heavily over the last 3 or 4 years. At this point, I'll turn it over to Dave. Dave is going to talk to you about maintenance type work that's happening in the county that may have an impact on your life in the county.
Thank you. Pick 3 of the items that we'll go over today. Some of the more, this isn't all the maintenance that we're going to be doing in Seneca County, but just touching on a few that we thought we'd bring up today. State Route 4 from Siam North and State Route 100 from Melmore to Tiffin. We're going to use one of our slot pavers that we developed, and we'll be doing the center line of various areas. Traffic will be maintained in this area. We'll use flaggers, and we're actually looking to use some of the new lights that we're purchasing to go ahead and do this. There may be some other areas that we're going to go ahead and pick on too, State Route 162 possibly, and working on State Route 18 in a few areas too. But traffic will be maintained and very little impact. We're also partnering with the Seneca County Conservation District, cleaning of the waterways on State Route 587, and a culvert that we're actually working on State Route 18 right now. Oh, we missed a number there.
So it says 8, yeah.
Yeah. And we're hoping to have State Route 18 opened to traffic here before the holiday. This work here is ongoing work that we've been working on with the Seneca County Conservation District since last year, hoping to have this done by early September. And the last one we have is some safety work that we're going to be doing on State Route 53 from the 0 to the 7 mile post, drainage upgrades, filling in a few ditches here, and I believe there's a few catch basins out there we're going to go ahead and take care of also. So, and there'll be no impact to traffic on this one here either. And that's pretty much all I have for maintenance. Are there any questions?
Tons of them, but I'll wait till we're done.
And I'll talk to you a little bit about the safety study on 53. I was hoping that Mark would be here so we can, because I have a list of things that I need to share with you. So, okay.
We did remind him that you guys were coming. I don't know what was on his schedule, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, I don't know what he had.
Well, I brought copies. I'm sure you guys wouldn't mind sharing with him. And if he has questions, he can call me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Brian, we'll go over the construction projects that we have.
Well, this is a reasonably complete list. There's only one that's not on there. But just to give you an idea of either where we're at, where we're going, what to expect. The first one there, State Route 18, currently going on. We should be done and out of there by June, is what I'm hoping. 67. Believe it or not, this week or next, we should be done with that. We're doing some permanent striping there, and RPMs, once we get that in, we'll be off of 67. The 224 project's also currently going on. We just closed that, and it'll remain closed until around the 10th of June, weather depending. And that's for some culvert work. And then once we open that back out, or around the 10th of June, we'll start milling and repaving as well. So with the resurfacing projects, there's less impact to traffic unless you're one of those people that drives through directly when we're paving across an intersection or something like that. But traffic will be maintained on these resurfacing projects other than where we have some culverts mixed in. The State Route 18 job, there next to last, that's going to start probably immediately after the 4th. The week of the 4th or that following week, we'll start up on that. Again, that's just a resurfacing project. I don't believe that there's any closures associated with that. The State Route 19 project does include resurfacing. but there's also a 21-day closure just north of the county line. It's at mile marker 0.08, so it's almost at the county line. And then we'll be redoing some curb ramps within Bloomville. So that's those projects there. None of the rest of these 4 projects at the bottom have started yet. State Route 587, we're going to start that week after the 4th, and that's a 30-day closure. That's 587 is between 224 and 18, which give you an idea of where it's at. The State Route 4 project is only a 14-day closure, and my project engineer, I apologize for not having more exact information, but he said starting soon. So, plus or minus, we'll go with that. But I know Teresa, who's not here, our PIO, does a really good job of getting information out to everybody. And if you don't know Teresa, get to know her, because she does a really good job of getting the word out of when we're going to be closing things. And that's mile marker 10.08, so figure 10 miles west of the county line on State Route 4. State Route 100, again, this one hasn't started yet. That's just south of 67. That'll be closed for 21 days. That job, we haven't even had, the contractor hasn't contacted us yet, so we have no idea when that's going to start. And then the second 587 there, just south, a little bit south of New Regal, over Wolf Creek, and that's a 45-day closure. So there's some significant closure times on some of those ones. The one project that wasn't mentioned on here is what's going on right now is State Route 12 there in and around Bettsville. The bridge that we have closed right now, just on the outside of town there, that should be opening up middle of June. It could be as early as the very beginning of June, but they have till the middle of June to get things done. They're painting the bridge right now. As soon as that's done, a couple other cleanup things, that'll open back up. But then we'll be resurfacing through town and then outside of town up to the county, up to the Sandusky County line. So that'll be done as well. But again, once we open the bridge up, we'll have traffic maintained, and the in-town work might have a little bit of impact on people, but that's essentially the short and skinny of it, is what I have. So anybody have any questions? Good deal.
Quite a bit of construction. Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome.
Kim is going to go over a couple of programs that we're highlighting this year with our visits to the different counties. So.
Hi, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our Adopt a Highway program. A couple of the things that people that drive along the road don't like to see besides the barrels is they'll complain most about mowing and litter. So the Adopt a Highway program is a great program for people to get involved with the litter pickup. It's a community service program. We have about 1,800 groups all across Ohio, and at least one group in every county. Seneca County currently has about 15 groups. So we're real excited about that. District 2, over all of Northwest Ohio, we have about 142 groups. We spend about $4 million a year picking up litter. So it is a big problem. We spend a lot of hours, 16,000 hours picking up litter, and that's close to 20,000 bags. So those are 16,000 hours that our employees could be doing more meaningful work. You know, our employees like to get dirty, they like to get into the dirt, they like to do that kind of stuff. So that's what we would like to do, is get some of that 16,000 hours doing something else. So what we would like to do is we're offering every county a new program that is in our area. Other places in the state have been doing this, but we're trying it here in Northwest Ohio. It's a program that I've already met with your sheriff, where you would use minimum security inmates or court-appointed individuals that have to do community service. They would be supervised by a sheriff employee, and we would help pay for that. We're offering up to $35,000 a year for this program that we would give back to the commissioner, the county, and they would just work alongside the road, and they would pick up the litter and put it in bags that we provide, and then our employees would go along and pick up the trash, so you don't have any of the cost of having the litter removed. We do have a signed agreement right now with Sandusky County Commissioners. I have the agreement currently right now with the Lucas County Commissioners, in the process of going through and getting the signatures. I'm working with CCNO over in the western area. That's the correctional facility over there. And they would take care of Defiance, Fulton, and Henry counties. But I have met with all the sheriffs in all of Northwest Ohio. So it is a program that we are highlighting, and we're really interested in trying to get into every county. So if it's something that Seneca County is interested in, the sheriff's not sure that he has the inmates, I think, and maybe, you know, somebody to supervise. So it's just something we need to discuss and figure out, but it is something that we think would help us and maybe help the county. And we would like to, you know, maybe start that partnership. Do you have any questions?
I was gonna ask you what his response was. I assumed it was gonna be a matter of enough people, because I know that crew
The sheriff said he doesn't have the,
keeps really busy, but they
Yeah.
don't have, another supervisor.
but he did recommend, you know, Crossway's always looking for, work hours for their,
Yeah, I did put a call in to Crossway,
Crossway, yeah.
and they returned my call, but,
The point about the agreement is that it's capped at $35,000 a year with an suggested hourly wage. And I say suggested is because we've picked out what an average deputy would make in Northwest Ohio and use that as the target to say, okay, we've got this many months of litter pickup in a year. If they work so many days, you know, a month, this is what it would equate to. And we came up with an average annual cost of about $35,000. So this is what we're trying to do, is set up an agreement for a 2-year agreement, $35,000 each year, and obviously the rate is negotiable depending on what the sheriff actually pays out. The thing of it is that it does not bind the county into providing the exact number of hours. It's just that it's capped at $35,000. So if you don't have the sheriff does not have enough inmates, the county is not out as far as putting out those hours. It's just that the county is not going to get paid, or the sheriff does not get paid. But if they do perform the work, they'll get reimbursement. That's the point. I mean, we realize that for smaller counties, they may not have enough inmates to do the work, as opposed to, let's say, Lucas County, or CCNO, they're talking about, you know, that they can take care of 3 or 4 counties even. So that's the idea with the program.
Okay.
What is your number? I have, not about this, but it was a few months back that I was talking with the sheriff, and I'm kind of blown away on he cannot send out all inmates to work crew. You only send certain type of inmates.
Right.
If they're drug addicts, there's an issue with security of sending them
Sure.
out. And
We realize
so it
that.
gets very complex,
Sure.
and I'd like to be able to talk with the sheriff on it, and also, who's the, Ed Crossways? And
Jason Barney.
Jason,
Pardon?
yeah, that's what I call it, Jason.
Jason Barney,
Yeah, I
yeah.
left
But
a
what
message
is
with
your
him.
number, so that?
You want me to give
yeah,
you, I'll
if
give
we
you
could-
my
yeah.
card.
I think after we converse with the sheriff and Jason to see if there is any, I mean, it's certainly to me, it's a win-win program for everybody there.
She talked about 2 things, and we would like to use your connections in finding more groups to sign up for the Adopt a Highway group, just to, you know, volunteers, if that's at all possible, because your connections in the county, I'm sure you,
thank you.
you know, some organization, churches, what have you, that would be, who might be willing, or they don't know enough about the program, who might be willing to do that program. But this other program about the inmate, just I want to emphasize, 16,000 labor hours could be pumped back into replacement of culverts, fixing the road, pavements, rebuilding shoulders, replacing guardrail, those kind of things. That's the idea of this program.
So what you're telling me is various, like, church groups, Boy Scouts, when you see those signs, Adopt a Highway, that's what it is this specific group is adopted a highway, and they could generate some funds through ODOT
No,
by,
There's
no, I guess
no.
I'm confused.
It's a volunteer service. They cannot
Volunteer
generate.
service.
Right. In other words, we don't reimburse those groups any
Okay.
money. What they will get for the program, well, I'll let you, since
Well, it's
it's
a
your
community
program.
service program.
Okay.
We provide the bag, safety vests, signage. We
Training.
ask that the they pick up 3 or 4 times a year, and it's a 2-year commitment agreement with the group. And for doing that, they get their name on the sign. And so it's a lot of, high school groups, college groups, churches, people that want to do something in memory of somebody, because we have, can be in memory of. We have a lot of those kinds of groups.
Can we be the clearinghouse? If these various social groups want to adopt a highway, would they come to us and then we would refer them to you, or?
Yep.
'Cause now we've
Yeah.
got the media.
Well, I gave, this is your, I don't know. if you're the
That's
clerk.
administrator.
Administrator, I gave the administrator some flyers so that she has, the county's name. But yeah, just refer them to me. I am the Adopt a Highway coordinator in our district for Northwest Ohio. So yeah, just refer them to me and we can get them hooked up. It's basically, they fill out an application, it gets sent in to me. I get it out to the county, and so if somebody in Seneca County was interested, eventually Dave or Casey would contact the group, because we want to do a safety meeting with that group. And they would meet with them, do a safety meeting, and decide where the 2-mile stretch of highway that they're going to adopt. And then all they need to do is 3 or 4 days before they want to pick up, they call in, and Dave or Casey will make sure that their crew, make sure you have safety vests, make sure you have the bags you need. And then they'll know that as soon as the trash has been picked up and it's set along the road, they'll know to send their crews the next day to take that trash, the bags off the highway.
Is that something we can put on our website for various groups if they want to, if they're interested in doing some, donating some time, or some social organizations where they could at least
can
go to
put
our
a link on
website?
there.
Another thing, I would hope that the media, that would be something that you guys would put
That would
on
be
there. I mean,
awesome.
I see
That
this
would
as a
be
very
wonderful.
worthwhile.
And every once,
Process.
we'll have if you ever see a sign that has a gold star at the bottom, that group has actually been picking up at least 7 years. They've followed all the all the safety requirements, everything that we ask, and they get a gold star at the bottom.
It's a
And usually
recognition.
when we give that recognition, I send a letter to the commissioners, because it is an accomplishment that that group has stayed with that for that long and done a great job. And so I usually copy a letter to the commissioners, just so you know you have a group that should be recognized.
And if we were gonna post it, you said there's 15 groups already in
Yes.
Seneca County? I mean, maybe we get a list of those who already thank these who are doing this type of work, and then
I have it with me, I can give it to you.
Again, if we put it on our website, so people want to get involved, they could go to that website and that would connect to your website or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just another conduit,
That'd be
Exactly.
If
wonderful.
I'm a Boy Scout group and I'm a Boy Scout leader, how do I get to it? So this is another
And
conduit.
we have quite a few Boy Scout troops that
Yeah.
do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they have to be at least 12 years old.
Yeah.
We don't want any.
Or Girl Scouts.
Yeah, yes.
And actually, that was our last slide, so we're open for questions.
the safety work, you said you brought some things with you on that outlines, because I think you said from into the 7-mile marker.
You're,
This is for
well, you're
53.
aware of the study that took place, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And this is what I had a chance to sit down with our planning engineers and, we went through the, sorry, I didn't make enough copies. But you can use this one. since-
Yeah, this is the same thing that we've seen before, that
I'm sure you got a copy of it, but, so what we did last week is we sat down and kind of talked about every single item. So I mean, I can answer your question if you have a specific one related to one stretch of 53. What we're trying to do is figure out, there's a lot of these things that can be done in-house. We plan on doing them in-house over the next year or so. But there are others that we need to put in an application, which require funding through central office. There's quite a few, also quite a few of these actually within the city limits. Like, for example, Tiffin and Fremont, we'll be working directly with the cities to address those needs. There's a couple of items in here that our traffic shop in Bowling Green was gonna take charge and take responsibility for those related to signage and things like that, because normally the county garage we don't address signage, if it's new signing. But we'll address it through the county, I mean, through the district.
So in terms of, they're ranked, but again, the cost of it is going to determine kind of which ones can get done, pretending in-house, and the ones that you have to put
Yeah.
out for your other project money.
Correct. I mean, all of the ones that are high dollar value, then I'm looking at the segment 4.7 to 5.7, where you're talking about $2.1 million. That definitely we have to fill out a safety application. In the safety application, there's let me see, there's 1, 2, 3. I see at least 3 projects in here that we have to file a safety application requesting funding. And that safety application is filled out September of this year. That's the round of funding for safety money. You also see down towards the bottom, there are projects that have a negative return value. And when I saw that, even though I've been in engineering for quite a while, I'm thinking, okay, do we really need to do something that's going to have a negative return on investment? And at this point, we're holding off on those projects until things change, because traffic numbers change. All of a sudden, a business or something else goes up in the area, and all of a sudden you see different traffic patterns. So we're going to hold off on those numbers. We're not going to, at this point, we don't see the investing money in or funds in something that's not going to have a value today, or have, even worse yet, have a negative value.
Yeah. 23 positives, 6 negatives there. I like to work in the 23 positives.
Yep, that's always looking at the glass half full. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Yes. I certainly appreciate what ODOT has done, and certainly my fellow commissioners in Hancock, Wood, and Lucas have to be very, very appreciative of the $750 million plus possibly $200 million that you're putting into their roads
Hancock's
and
not
infrastructure and so forth. Our concern is Seneca County.
Yes, I'm very well aware of that.
And quite frankly, I don't give a darn about those guys over there. My concern is Seneca County. And I know Commissioner Kirschner has done some research in looking at the total budget of ODOT and what percentage comes into Seneca County over the years. And we are very, very, very much at a negative situation. Is to even get our equal share, we're not even close to it. And I have to say, and you don't know me well enough, the other people in the room do. I always tell you what's on my mind. And yesterday I heard something that of the group when the study was conducted last year, and there was a lot of bids for various engineering groups. And ODOT shot down when they looked at only safety. When they come in for economic development, that a lot of the bids came in that they would look at safety and economic development. ODOT said no, safety only. So we didn't even look at, when we did that study of the Route 53 corridor, economic development was not even looked into the process. It was strictly safety, even though the recommendation of a lot of the engineering firms that bid on the process suggested that we do a combination safety, economic development, look at the process, and ODOT specifically come and said, nope, they don't want to look at economic development at all, strictly safety. I think that was wrong. I think it was wrong. And there was a lot of, we had a partnership of Wyandotte, Seneca, Sandusky, and Ottawa County on it. We had a public-private partnership to the process to conduct the study, and we only looked at half of it. We didn't look at the economic impact that any of the improvements would have on 53, and quite frankly, and I just heard this yesterday, that's why I was gonna call Todd today when I got that word.
Okay.
And I
Well,
think
like I
that was
said,
wrong.
I just remember that it was strictly to be a safety study, so I
Well,
don't,
Yeah.
And that's what I was told, is that
yeah.
we need to have a meeting about a safety study that we did on 53. I never realized that there was an economic aspect or.
I think it was certainly
But
my intention and the intention of the contributors towards this process, that it was a combination safety/economic development process, and that was absolutely thrown out of the thing.
I will-
And again, the other thing I look at, going back to Mr. Kirschner, Commissioner Kirschner, is, yeah, there's 2 to 3, I didn't quite get your numbers, 2 or 3 billion in ODOT, and that's divided amongst 88 counties. And when you look at Sandusky County, or Seneca County's being a recipient of that, we are way, way negligent of even getting our fair share. So,
I made a note, and I
Okay.
will discuss it with Todd on Monday morning when he comes in. So I heard what you
I'm
said.
sure I'll get a call over that, and I'm fine, but it's time that in Seneca County, we at least start getting our fair share.
I'll just add that we realize the, population, the roadways, the miles, road miles, not just, from going down 20, it's a 4-lane, and we don't have those 4 lanes here, so, obviously that factors into where money goes, and
Right.
the traffic counts are huge and all of those things too, and we may differ on the opinion of, we don't have those 4 lanes, and there's some that strongly believe that we should, but I realize that traffic count does make the determination of warranting those kinds of things. But I'll just add that I live in a rural county because that's where I want to be, and if I want a 4-lane, I'll move somewhere
Oh,
else.
yeah, well, I'm not advocating full lane,
And I hope you
but I
make
think there was some other things that could be done that would enhance
Yeah.
not only the safety, but the economic impact, and not a 4-lane. I don't think we're ever gonna get a 4-lane, I mean, not in my lifetime, but I think there are certainly some significant improvements if we would have taken a look at the economic impact.
And I hear what you say, and I want to go back to being an engineer and know, how important that is to the traveling public every day. I understand economics is just as important, for the county. But I hope you agree that over the last 3 or 4 years, we've done major improvements, safety improvements on 53 when I was in here about 4 years ago when the issue came up as far as cars leaving 53 different to the south, and we've been able to do that throughout the years. Over the last 3 or 4 years, we've improved 53 quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we're continuing that effort. We're not gonna walk away from it until we get to, is it gonna be 100% safe? I hope so, but I don't know how soon that's gonna happen. But we're not losing sight of that. We're continuing that effort.
And we certainly are very appreciative. I know there have been some improvements. My statement is, and I believe Commissioner Kirschner's statement is, we just want our fair share.
Yep.
Based on road miles and population, and we just want our fair share. I love the boys in Wood County and Lucas County and Hancock County, but we gotta fight for our share too.
I understand. Any other questions?
No, and I don't know if there's, we would not have our citizens comments at the end. I'm assuming you folks are probably moving on to other things for the day.
Correct.
There's one individual, Amy, did you want to have a chance to say something? I don't, like I said, won't normally go to citizens comments at this point, but they will be gone, or were you more interested in talking if Mark was around, or?
I was concerned about the intersection of County Road 23 and State Road 224. To make that intersection safer for our entire community.
I have talked to, I'm not sure if you're the one, I do have a letter that was sent to the office. We ran a study, we went back 5 years. This is the only accidents that we have at that intersection. And at this time, I'm sorry to say, but there's no plans to do anything at that intersection. I understand, and I'm sorry to hear of what happened, but that's the only accident in a 5-year period at that intersection. And unfortunately, it was a fatal one. I'm sorry. but we don't have plans at this point to do anything. You're welcome.
As I recognize Amy was here before, and we suggested that with the state route, that she needed to communicate with the District 2 office. And
Yeah, a letter was sent in,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure if it was sent, oh, wait, actually it was sent by you. That's your, that's your letter?
Yeah.
So we ran numbers for like the last 5 years to see, you know, what kind of accidents and how many. And that's the only accident that came up.
And it is a dangerous intersection. I mean, if you
Yeah.
would come off of it yourself from the County Road 23 and head west, you can see how dangerous it is. And if we know it's dangerous, and all the one life has been lost, if we can prevent another family from going through such tragedy.
Unfortunately, I mean, this is, 53 is another example. Unfortunately, with safety, as a state, we have to look at all of the intersections, all of our routes, and decide where the money is gonna get the most bang for, you know, for return. And I'm not saying one life is not important enough, but we have a lot of other routes that are in more dire need than this intersection. And I don't mean to make light of your loss.
So
It's
is
just
there
that-
a
It's just
death
that
count?
it's not just a number of how many people. I know some people think of it. Okay, how many people do have to die before something gets done? Really, it's traffic numbers. Obviously, the type of accidents, number of fatalities, with the pavement, shoulders, all of those things come into play before you know a project reaches a certain threshold where it's eligible. Every year, the folks at central office look through, and we get the results of that, and we have to analyze what those guys in Columbus are doing. Not to mean they're not mean, it's just that they have to look at, you know, we have $100 million worth of safety money, where can we get the most bang for the dollars? So that they run through the numbers, and okay, a whole bunch of intersections pop up. Some of those intersections actually inside cities, that not necessarily out in rural part of the counties. So we have to work with cities and figure out, okay, cities have to contribute because that's also a city street. So they contribute, and we try and build as many of these bad intersections or stretches of highway. It doesn't have to be an intersection. It could be a straight stretch of highway, but for some reason, there are accidents there, you know, repeated accidents. So we look at all of these, and they factor into an equation, and all of a sudden, okay, this is the program, this is what we need to work on. You're welcome.
we thank you for coming down today and doing the update for us and taking our questions and comments and.
Thank you very much
all the
for
things.
letting us do that. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This one, the whole needs to be yourself.
Okay. Thank you.
Business cards, you're welcome.
Please, please.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll let you know.
Thank you.
In case you have more
One
questions.
per. One for each school. We'll just get one right now. Okay. Okay. We're gonna transition our audience a little bit. They didn't want to come in and interrupt. We got the WSOS group coming in too. We'll have more of these to sign.
Okay, okay. Yep, yep.
Thank you for waiting. We appreciate that.
Oh
Busy
my
day.
goodness, what we got here.
They've been very patient.
Yeah,
You don't
I
get
like
these-
this.
You don't get these kind of visitors very
I'm
often.
telling you.
Yeah. It is WSOS Community Action Month, and we have a proclamation for that. And it's also EMS Week, National EMS Week. And so we've got Danny here to do that. So we are going to, if Danny doesn't mind yielding to WSOS, we will go with the Community Action Commission.
Sure?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's fine. And we appreciate all of you coming down for this.
You have
We'll
the,
turn over to Ruth
you
Ann.
have the proclamation.
Yep, I do.
Okay,
I
okay.
do.
Thank you for having us once again. This is our 50th year. As you know, we brought you a really nice gift last year as the kickoff of our 50th year. And so we're continuing to have our celebrations and recognitions. Had a very nice event several weeks ago, all-staff event. So that was well attended. Thank you for Holly's numbers of years of service on our board, and now we've transitioned to Mike as a board member. And Paul Harrison continues to be your second board member, and Paul's involvement has been terrific, so thank you for that. If we could can we do brief
Absolutely.
introductions, just so you
Please.
know who's here? You know me, Ruth Ann House. Robin, you wanna go?
I'm Robin Ricker, Director of Senior Programs and Transportation.
Todd Robinson, Mobility Coordinator.
Alex Boroff, Executive Assistant.
The old Villarreal Family Advocate, Astoria.
Susan Wren, I'm the Support Services Specialist.
Heather Pollock, I work in Fostoria as a home net program administration.
And the mother for the program, Vinay Darnell, and my daughters, Kira Genevieve Cook Arnold and Evangeline Cook Arnold.
So,
Welcome.
can you tell us a little bit about your involvement and what the program has meant to you and your family?
Okay, a little bit about the program. I've started this program with like homeless, so the program helped me to find a home in first time and helped me with the payments of the home because we come from other country, Puerto Rico, move here for circumstance, and this program helped me and like gave me like a family, and later we start the homeschooling too with my girls because she's 3 years old now, but she was 2 and yeah, 2 less. And the other one just 4 before, so we started the homeschooling too, and helped me a lot because they don't have the English they need in first, and they need to like get involved in English because they got all Spanish, and it's kind of my English is not the best too. So it's a big help, like home help in all, like find job and food and how move everywhere, help me with the girls, help me like a friend, help me with social worker, everything. So this program is really, really good. And I'm right now in better position. My girl's she gonna start kindergarten. She still do homeschooling home. Plus she gonna do preschool too at the same time. Excuse me.
Mom, that's more important. The Game Boy.
And I get a job and doing very good by myself, and I switched to government housing to help me with the rent because it's higher for me. But I'm really, really good now, in better position, like a year already. Yeah.
How long have you been here? A year?
A year.
What part of Puerto Rico?
Bayamon.
Bayamon,
Dorados,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
that's one of my
I used
places.
to be in Caguas quite a bit.
Exactly. So everything's great with this program. It's great. Everybody is individuals, great persons. I like it. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah, so the girls are in home-based Head Start option. So we have center-based and home-based program options depending on the needs of the family. So, and so Viola's worked with the family and then through the supportive housing services as well. So you can see how when we're working with folks, we try to do that wraparound approach and what other resources can we bring to bear to really move families down the road to self-sufficiency and to get young children ready for kindergarten. So that's what we do. We always like for you to hear what we do from someone who's received our services. Thank you for the great partnership. You've been one of the S's in WSOS for 50 years, and so you're obviously part of the family. Thank you for your support.
We have one more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just came.
Oh, great. Okay, do you want to introduce yourself and maybe
Sure.
tell a little bit about how you're connected to WSOS program?
Do you want me to go up here or just stay here?
Either way, whatever you're.
My name is Mindy Ott. I got approved for the HomeNet program. It has changed my life, like, dramatically. Never been more happy in my life. I got my children back, which was staying with my sister. So this allowed me to get my 2 children back, and we're just all so happy. I mean, I just couldn't be more grateful. I don't know what else to say. Just
Thank you.
I'd like to just read the highlights that we've got in the resolution, because I think it's very significant. I want people to hear this and this proclamation we have for the WSOS Community Action Commission, but the bulleted points here, and I'll just hit those. For Seneca County, these are for our county, served 248 children and their families with early childhood services assisted. This is in 2014. Assisted 78 families facing a housing crisis with rental assistance, helped 9 veterans and their families achieving housing stability, provided winter home heating assistance to 462 households, assisted 132 medically needy families with air conditioners and/or electric bill payment during the summer months, weatherized 31 units and administered funds for rehabilitation or repair of 20 homes, provided energy conservation assistance to 103 households, provided foreclosure counseling to 21 families and foreclosure mortgage assistance to 40, provided training to 33 men to become better fathers, offered fair housing training to the communities of Tiffin and Fostoria, assisted the communities of Attica and Newrigo through RCAP, and provided other assistance as needed to individuals, families, and communities in Seneca County. Thank you. Thank you.
When we looked at the numbers yesterday, I
Yeah.
was like, these are correct. I mean, because these are people and people in communities that we are helping, all of us together. It's not just us, it's all of us together. So, thank you all. We have a great staff. We have a fabulous staff. So, thank you.
Thank you for what you do.
Girls, can we share the flowers with the commissioners? Viola's willing to give them up. Will they come apart? Are they apart, Viola? Can your sister have? Here, can we split them between you and your sister, and then you can give? I'm not doing very well. There you go.
I have one.
I was gonna say, we'll let Commissioner
Come on,
Stacy
we'll let
down. They give me thorns.
Fred needs some flowers. All right, I think he wants to get a picture. Sure. You want to give?
But don't be shy. Smile, baby.
Well,
Smile.
thank you.
Well, thank you
You're
very
a
much.
pretty young
Want to
lady.
get a picture? You want to get a picture?
Come here, come over. Turn around so you can-
Alex?
Right there's.
Okay,
You'll
here.
take. I'll let you.
Pretty
You
flower
want
for a
to
pretty
you wanna hold
girl,
this for me?
huh?
Hold it.
Do you want to stand up here and hold this for me?
That's the
You gotta face
proclamation
it.
you
Can you
can.
face Alex?
You gotta face that way.
No way?
Stand up here. Mom can come with you.
What's your
Mom
name?
can take a picture.
Well, you're 3. Your name's 3?
Hold it.
You say cheese?
Cheese.
Cheese.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I gotta get up there.
Get up there.
Wait, don't go away. Can we have a picture?
Oh, sure.
Where he puts his phone.
Thank
You
you.
should, I usually look better. Thank you for what you do. Thank you. You didn't smell good.
We're going to do our second proclamation. We have 2 today for EMS. This one. So Danny, come on up. Ken is in meetings, right, today, so.
Vacation.
Oh,
He's
he's
vacationing.
enjoying some time. Okay, good for him.
He is.
Be prepared for the next meeting, ladies.
So, I mean, she's setting up the coordinators meeting today.
Yep,
so.
yep.
Well, we did a proclamation in recognition of National EMS Week, which is this week, and I would like to read it, and so I hope that's okay for everybody. Whereas Seneca County EMS volunteers have been the primary emergency medical provider serving the citizens of Seneca County with safe and efficient pre-hospital care since 1979, and Seneca County Emergency Medical Services has been providing quality pre-hospital medical care for over 35 years. And whereas the delivery of pre-hospital care is a difficult, dangerous, and thankless job requiring hours of training and continuous retraining due to the strict licensing requirements set forth by the state of Ohio and the National Registry of Emergency Medical Technicians. And whereas this year the theme for National EMS Week is EMS Strong, and that accurately describes our county program during the past year of resurgence, where our EMS leadership, partners, and volunteers face challenges head-on to make a positive difference in the emergency service provided. And whereas the Seneca County Emergency Medical Service operates efficiently and effectively because of the selfless dedication and sacrifice of the volunteer emergency medical technicians. And whereas the formation of 3 new joint ambulance districts in the past year has increased the awareness of how Seneca County is EMS strong, thanks to the commitment of local elected leaders in those communities. And now therefore be it resolved that we, the Board of Commissioners, Seneca County, Ohio, do hereby proclaim May 17th to the 23rd, 2015 as National EMS Week. In witness here whereof we, the Board of Seneca County Commissioners, have put our hands to cause the great seal of the county to be affixed to this proclamation this 19th day of May, 2015. So, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We will sign and bring some for all of the ambulance areas, districts and others.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your patience. Okay. I believe we are back to the other side of the agenda and new business. Just quickly, so I don't forget, the item I added was regarding indigent council, and just I'm excited that Representative Reineke had indicated to me a while back that they were pushing to, our interest here was to get the reimbursement rate to counties back to 50%. At one point it was that, and then it went to, we only got 40% of the money back for indigent council from the state, and this is to get that reimbursement rate back up to 50%. And it went through the House, and it is now it's in the Senate, expected to be heard sometime next week, I believe, is how this is worded. So hopefully we will achieve that 50% reimbursement rate, and I know I will reach out to Senator Burke and asking for his support of that. To them, it's $12 million, not just our county, in all, $12 million more for them to get into the budget. So hopefully they'll do that. I think that's good news, and appreciate Representative Reineke's hearing us on that one and supporting that. We have the Clinton Township Zoning Board of Appeals listed here, and I don't know if Dennis was here for anything on that, but if not, Nikki's just got a heads up for us, I think, on it.
Thanks, Stace has the paper now.
Paper's on this way.
Clinton Township Zoning Board of Appeals meeting will be held to consider the application of the Clinton Township trustees and the application for the property at 863 East US Route 224 on the east side of State Route 100. The request is for a variance setback of 15 feet from the edge of the right-of-way instead of 50 feet as required by zoning to construct an 8-foot vinyl fence. The reason for this notice is your property is within 500 feet of the property seeking the variance. Meeting will be held on June 1st, 2015 at the office of Clinton Township Trustees, located northeast of Tiffin on State Route 101 at 7:30 p.m.
And I just figured if we brought it up in here and you guys didn't have any objections to it, I can just write a letter, unless you guys wanted to go to that meeting. I can just write a letter saying that we have no objections.
Yeah,
And
it's
send
because
it to
we're
them.
the neighbor, and yeah. I no objection with that.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. So if you wanna put in communications, absolutely, at least know that we've heard it.
I can talk about it if you got any questions.
I guess I don't foresee it being a problem of any kind, and it's just procedural, right? Because of the zoning.
Right, we applied for a grant from the Solid Waste District. It was an 80-20 grant, and we've got our dumpsters out there, and we applied we're gonna put a fence, a concrete pad and a fence around 6 dumpsters. For the other businesses, it'll shelter those dumpsters a little bit, make it look a little bit nicer. And we got approved. We started this in January or whatever. We were lucky to get approved. It was over $9,000 that the grant's gonna give to Clinton Township to put this fence up, you know, and concrete pad and just to help the businesses out there and just.
Yeah, it'll look better.
Yep.
Good, good, sounds good. No problem there. All right, the other items of new business, I think we've got everything else that was scheduled. We can begin with the appropriations and supplementals and all that.
Okay, I have an appropriation adjustment for the Soil and Water Conservation District, moving $1,016 from travel to the cost allocation. A supplement to the permanent appropriation within the Sheriff's Community Corrections Grant Fund, putting $606.40 into the salaries line. I have a resolution appointing Matt Kirschner. Okay, and just make sure it wasn't supposed to be Mike Kirschner. To the unexpired term for the Sandusky Seneca City of Tiffin Port Authority Board of Directors, term expiring March 1st, 2016. A resolution setting time, date, and place to receive sealed bids for the Seneca County Road 10, County Road 35, County Road 61 pavement resurfacing. This will be Tuesday, June 16th at 10:15 at the Commissioner's office. I have a resolution authorizing the agreement with TSC Architects and Engineers for the CSB Elevator Modernization Project located at the County Services Building, 71 South Washington Street, Tiffin, Ohio, on behalf of the Seneca County Regional Planning Commission. And that's all the resolutions I have.
That thing with the elevator at CSB, that was a CDBG process, okay. And just to clarify, Mike cannot sit on the Port Authority, because I had to resign my position once I become a commissioner. So that's why Matt, which he's involved with whatever that company is, Tiffin Insulators, so it's manufacturer on small road.
Yeah. All right, well, do I have a motion to approve the resolutions?
I'll make a motion we approve the resolutions as outlined.
And I will second. Any questions or comments? Okay. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Kirschner, Commissioner Zoller,
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy.
Yes, all approved. One more comment to make sure I mention, I got a call from Councilman Jim Roberts, but mainly as the, I forget his exact role with the Veterans Services Organization, but he wanted to attend our meeting today and personally invite us and encourage us to get involved in the celebration activities for Memorial Day this coming Monday. But he had a conflict with our meeting time this morning, but he just gave the reminder and said, ask it to mention it, that the parade is at 10, and that following the parade at approximately 11 o'clock, Veteran Services will do their ceremony that they do on Frost Parkway at the gazebo there, and invited us all to be part of it.
I think it's worth mentioning in the paper that all 3 commissioners will be there, so that will certainly bring the crowds out. Just to have the opportunity to see us.
All right. That we're up to, unless there's any further business, Nikki, to citizens' comments at this time. So do we have any citizens' comments for the good of the order? All right. Seeing none. Take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I will second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 11:23, we stand adjourned.